This would cause the children to develop an undeserving sense of loyalty and appreciation towards their kidnapper. The kidnapper may also find it necessary to implement a scheme to divide the children, to prevent them from unifying against him, by teaching them not to trust each other, while simultaneously teaching them to trust only him. This scenario may sound far-fetched, but this is exactly what is going on in today's world. Our government has been hijacked, and it happened right before our eyes, and we are so busy arguing whether or not it happened, that we are powerless to do anything about it.
We have shown you the true nature of the beast. The common purpose movement, though it appears to be the complete consolidation of intellect and leadership, is in reality the right arm of the globalist factions. Once you become aware of the true role of these foundations, you will understand with greater detail why nothing works anymore: the high interest rates, high taxes, the destruction of the family, the degradation of the churches into forums for revolution, the subversion of the universities into CIA cesspools of drug addiction, and the halls of government into sewers of international espionage and intrigue. The American citizen can now understand why every agent of the federal government is against him. The alphabet agencies, the FBI, IRS, CIA, and the ATF, must make war on the citizen in order to carry out the programs of the New World Order, and the globalist factions. Tavistock is behind every spontaneous social movement of the last century, including feminism, sexual liberation, the peace movement, the New Age movement, environmentalism, homosexuality, and abortion. The moral, spiritual, racial, economic, cultural and intellectual bankruptcy we are in the midst of today is not some social phenomena that just happened. Rather, it is the product of a carefully planned Tavistock program.
We are constantly being studied to see how we will react under stress, to find out how far we will go when our fears are ignited. Orson Welles' Martian Invasion in 1938 was designed to demonstrate the power of the news to deceive. Our political leaders are chosen by their willingness to collaborate with the Common Purpose Collective. Most people will do whatever it takes to be successful. Many actually think they are free citizens creating a better world. They are the victims of mind control and brainwashing by the Tavistock Institute. Stalin's propaganda chief, Willy Munzenberg, once said, "All news is lies, and all propaganda is disguised as news."
450 of the Fortune 500 companies get their marching orders from Tavistock. This may explain why TV commercials seem more concerned with social engineering than with selling a product. Is this the cultural message to send to children? They are messing people up, so we are too divided and dysfunctional to resist them. More and more people are recognizing the plot. Like in the movie, The Matrix, people are waking up. They are testing the official storyline, and finding it harder to accept than any of the conspiracy theories. Most conspiracy theories are hard to believe, but the official government version of what happened on 9/11 actually upsets the laws of physics and reality, to the point of being ridiculous. Early in this program, we mentioned that brainwashing techniques were based on creating terror, short of war. In other words, creating the terrors of war without the war.
In order to verify the way the buildings collapsed and how the heat had affected the steel, NIST commissioned numerous tests, some of which were conducted by a company called Underwriters Labs.
And Kevin Ryan, he's the former employee from Underwriters Laboratories who challenged the NIST report, and he went public with it. Within a week, he was fired from his job.
We did test the floor models in August of 2004, and those tests disproved the primary theory behind the collapse of the buildings. It was called the pancake theory. The floors would collapse upon each other into a stack of pancakes, and then the columns were no longer supported and the columns would fall apart. Well, the floor models didn't collapse in the tests, and these were in furnaces. Floor models didn't collapse. Testing furnaces at much hotter temperature, longer periods of time. They still didn't collapse. They still didn't collapse. Still didn't collapse. So, a few months later, the government put out an update on their report, and they stated not only that the floors did not collapse, but they had done tests on the few samples they had saved from the fire zones. And those tests proved that the temperatures were very low, temperatures were very low, temperatures were very low, temperatures were very low, temperatures were not hot enough, temperatures were not hot enough to even soften steel, and yet they're coming out with a summary statement that says that's what actually did happen, that the floors did collapse and the steel did soften. It still didn't collapse.
The events of September 11 were Tavistock's carefully crafted masterpiece. Its design was mass mind control. The Tavistock Institute of Human Relations is a public opinion shaping factory. Its global reach extends into the world media and crosses political boundaries like no entity has ever done in history. Psychiatrists at the Tavistock Clinic made medical breakthroughs to the understanding of the traumatic effects of shell shock, and how soldiers who suffered these symptoms in battle were easily manipulated and controlled. The subsequent state of mind produced by trauma and significant terror leaves the mind readily able to accept mental programming, which comes in the form of mass media. The mass media is clearly one of the most powerful institutions in society. It is, for most of the public, the ultimate source of all their information, and the Tavistock Institute considers the media its primary asset. The structure of the mass media will therefore have fundamental implications for the political and cultural orientation of the public. All scholars generally agree that the media do have the capacity to set the agenda of public discourse about world affairs. However, the media limits the public's understanding of current affairs, and the overall consequences of this is ignorance.
John